Hello guys, welcome to X-Plane 11, hopefully you can hear me okay. Today we are going to take a very special flight in the mighty Avro Vulcan by Just Fly. It's been a while since I've shown this aircraft on the channel. Rest assured I do fly this bird a lot. But today we're going to do one of its last real-world flights. Back, I think it was in 2015, during the time when it was on the airshow circuit. We are going to do the UK North Tour, its sort of farewell tour. But we're going to do it all in VR because this beautiful bird is completely compatible. So we're going to be in the HP Reverb, and just look at the detail here on offer. This is a very, very special aircraft. I cannot emphasise that enough. The attention to detail, the 3D modelling, the painstaking work that's gone into this aircraft is absolutely astonishing. So, before we climb aboard, I'm just going to show you the route we're going to do, and I'll see you in a minute inside that incredible cockpit.
Okay, just before we dive into the aircraft, I just thought I'd show you the way I'm going to go about flight planning for this tour. Now, I often use Little Navmap. It's a fantastic freeware, would you believe it, flight planning software program that is full of features, and it's absolutely superb and works and integrates with X-Plane perfectly. So we're going to start by taking off from Doncaster, which is where XH558 resides and was operated from during its time in the airshow circuit. We're going to head west. I'm going to fly over Woodford and Manchester, because Woodford is where one of the static Vulcans is on show. And then after that we're going to head to Blackpool, out into the west, which will set us up perfectly for a beautiful flyby of Lake District and Windermere, which is what they did during their real life tour. This is following, not completely 100% perfect, but I'm just adding some of the key sort of locations where the real Vulcan went during its sort of north tour of the UK. And then we're going to head up to Edinburgh, where at that point we might take on some fuel or we might just overfly. So our leg back will be from Edinburgh, heading down the east coast. I've set some user points actually at Northumberland and Sunderland, and also flying over the Yorkshire Dales, which will be absolutely beautiful, past Whitby and Scarborough, before heading to the Humber Bridge, the iconic Humber Bridge. We're going to fly over that, maybe not under it. I know that's we won't be doing that. None of those shenanigans today. And then back into Doncaster, as you can see here. Now, one thing that is really useful, because the Vulcan doesn't have a dedicated GPS, I have basically saved the image of Avitab into sort of the tablet. And you can do that by save map image as, which you can click that there, and it will convert it to a sort of the map view so you can see your route. And I'll add more of that when we get into the aircraft.
So welcome back, we are now in the cockpit of XH558, and let me tell you guys, it's nothing short of a privilege to be able to experience this in VR. Knowing that I've got my own personal Vulcan living inside of my computer, and I can fly it anytime I want. It really is one of those birds that you just have to own. Look at every time I look at this in the Reverb, it just blows me away. Look at the leather, how it's worn away there. That centre console, all the dirt, grime and wear, it's just done to perfection, it really is. Love this bird so much. Anyway, we're going to get Avitab up so we can get our flight plan all dialed in. We're using Avitab because we don't really have a dedicated GPS as such. Now, just to let you know, we've got quite low frame rate here because we're in X-Plane 1141 today, because I do often use it for all of my add-ons as well. So what we need to do is go to our map view here, click on this button here, and we've got Vulcan Tour North 1. click on that, and there you have it. We have now got our flight plan in Avitab itself. So guys, I think it's time to taxi this bird onto the active runway. I'll see you at the whole short bars, ready for that Vulcan howl. Okay, the final is clear. We're going to taxi to the active. Do you know, this is a perfect combination. Orbex True Earth, Great Britain, and the Just Flight Vulcan together in VR. It's quite an evocative sight and feeling. I think no matter what day you're having, trust me guys, if you fly this aircraft, you are going to be smiling for the rest of the day. It's just such an amazing experience. Anyway, I think it's time to go outside and to enjoy that very famous Vulcan howl. What a beauty. British engineering at its best. They're already at 150 knots and we have leapt off the ground. Amazing. Just look at that bird and that PBR work on the wing. It's just a thing of absolute beauty. It feels alive, a living, breathing aircraft. You know, some aircraft can feel a little bit sterile, but this one, it speaks to you, it really does. It's, words fail me really. Okay, so we're going to get on our heading. You know, it's amazing, even though I'm getting about 22 frames per second in the reverb, it feels absolutely fine. And don't forget, we're in X-Plane 1141 today, so you can actually tell that the frame rate is definitely lower, but I don't know, I think there's some magic happening in the latest Steam VR software, because the reverb feels smoother at lower frame rates, which bodes well for the new G2. So as we're punching through these clouds here, this is real world weather provided by Active Sky, and it's actually a very blustery day out there. Visibility is pretty good, but it's just very blustery and there's quite a bit of cloud around actually. Try and keep to about 250 knots. Our first port of call is Woodford, overflying the Vulcan that will be there. In fact, probably won't be there in the X-Plane scenery since it will be a default airport. And then from there it'll be Manchester, and then out towards Blackpool and the beautiful Lake District. So considering it's quite a cramped cockpit in here and the visibility isn't brilliant, it's not as bad as you think, because this huge window really gives you a fantastic view outside actually. And she flies so well, she's so stable through the air. Because this is X-Plane, blade element theory will be in the mix as well, so that delta wing shape will be performing exactly how it would in the real aircraft. And that's one thing I really like about X-Plane, is that it takes into the consideration the shape and every part of the aircraft, and it doesn't have a lookup table, it just computes the way the airflow goes over that particular shape. which produces a very realistic flight model for different types of aircraft. And the delta wing type of design has its own sort of flying characteristics, be it very nimble and very manoeuvrable. There is no other huge bomber of this weight and momentum that has ever been produced that has such incredible fighter pilot type controls. A lot of that is down to that shape of the delta wing, but also down to the hydraulic surfaces, hence why we've got a fighter stick instead of a yoke. So our first port of call is going to be the Lady Bower Dams. I'm just putting out the air brake, really hearing that rumble. Oh god, this is so good. I cannot believe this experience is so real as this. I am not, I repeat, I am not giving this up for any flight sim, not even the Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's just too good. Right, as we are about to head over the very famous dams in Derbyshire, we'll go outside again to enjoy a spectacular view over this scenery. Now I can just imagine the amount of people that would have been there on that day at Lady Bower, just waiting to see a glimpse of the Delta Lady. Now something called the Vulcan Effect was born, where people would just literally, hundreds, thousands even of people would be littered across the countryside during this UK tour, just waiting to see the glimpse of this beautiful aircraft. And I remember being one of them. In fact, I was sat outside Newark Air Museum and enjoyed watching it do a spiral climb, as well as being at Waddington and Scampton. In fact, really, I chased this aircraft all around the UK during the airshow season. Very, very happy memories. And it captured the heart of the British public like no other aircraft, including, dare I say it, the Lancaster, which, I mean, is the most iconic aircraft of all time, really, particularly in the UK. But I think the Vulcan, little just stutter there, I think the Vulcan really made the difference. It was the aircraft that really captured people's attention, just simply because of the sound of it, and it was just, it looked like a spaceship. Even today, this aircraft looks like it's from the future, and you'd never believe that its first drawings were produced only 11 years after the Lancaster rolled off the line. Amazing. Anyway, we're heading to Orbex, Manchester next. That is a very heavy area for FPS, so we may get a few stutters. Remember guys, I'm using 1141, and there we are, just a little stutter there, not Vulcan mode. Pardon the pun. When I say Vulcan mode, I mean the API, the graphics engine that X-Plane now uses, which is a lot faster than the old OpenGL mode. But I do still have 1141 because at the time of this recording it's still in beta, so I like to have a stable version for those real proper flights where I want everything to run as best as possible. So if we look to our 11 o'clock and now 12 o'clock, That is Woodford. We're going to overfly that airfield, just like the real Vulcan did all those years ago. And since there's plenty of people sat there waiting for our arrival, we'll make it a good one. That is what I call a wingover. Inspired by Kev Rumens, who used to fly this very Vulcan at air shows. He was noted for his extremely spirited display. In fact, he did get told off at Fairford one year for a very low, high angle sort of turn. I remember being there that day and everyone gasped like wow, and I had my scanner on the frequency for the air show, and I actually heard him get told off there, but it was worth it. Next port of call is Manchester Airport, which we're about to go over now as we head back onto our route. Oh yes, this is what flight simulation and VR was made for. Now let me know guys in the comments if you own this aircraft or if you think about picking it up. The best way I can describe this bird is every time you decide to fly it, it's an event. Not like some of the other aircraft which you might fly on a regular basis, like the TBM or the let's see, the Lancer Legacy or one of your favourite business jets. This type of aircraft, the Vulcan, the way it's modelled, you fly it when it's a very special occasion, and then you think about it for weeks afterwards. You know, it's like owning a very special classic car. You know, when you take it for a spin on that very beautiful, perfect day on a Sunday, it just makes you smile so much. That's what this aircraft is all about. It's an event when you fly this thing. And in VR, it's even more of an event because you really feel the aircraft around you. It's quite incredible experience, and it's very difficult to put into words. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am, guys, because this is just absolutely fantastic. Experiencing this without even leaving my house. I could fly in my pyjamas if I want to. No one would even be the wiser. Right, next stop is a user point that I've put in for Lake Windermere, which is the largest lake, I think, in the UK. Of course, Coniston is right next to it as well, which is famous for the Bluebird land speed record. But I think that's also infamous for when he crashed. I think it was only a few years ago that the actual boat was found at the bottom of the sea and dragged up again. But of course, we've got all these other beautiful mountains as well, like Helvellyn, Striding Edge, to enjoy as well. So having that as the backdrop whilst flying in the Vulcan, just prepare yourself, guys. You may find that you might get a bit of what they call Vulcan grit in your eye. Because that's the thing with this aircraft. It did have an emotional impact on fully grown men, you know. I can't really think of any other aircraft that has had that impact, apart from perhaps the Battle of Britain Memorial flight, really. Gorgeous views out there. I hope you enjoyed that evocative piece of music as we toured Lake Windermere and right over Striding Edge. Absolutely beautiful, but it's back to business now as the weather is closing in as we're getting further north, as you'd expect. We've had a bit of rain as well, and by the way, we've got lib rain effects working in the Vulcan, so if you do see any rain and we're inside the cockpit, you'll see all those beautiful raindrops. Fully working in VR, by the way. I've got a video on how to do that, if you're wondering. But now it's the sort of leg right up to Edinburgh, which will mark our furthest northern point before we start heading back down again. And checking on our temperature and pressures, oil pressure and fuel, we're looking good. And hopefully we'll be able to give them a bit of a show at Edinburgh once we are cleared for a fly pass. She just glides through the air. In fact, I don't know if this bird actually has an autopilot, but I've never bothered with it because this is the type of aircraft you want to hand fly. She feels beautiful in the air, and I'd imagine very much similar to the real Vulcan, simply by the way that X-Plane models the airflow over that big delta wing. But it's certainly got a bit cloudier over the lakes. But we're now entering Scotland. We're now on the border, and Carlisle should be around here somewhere, I'd imagine. In fact, yeah, that'll be to our right. So we've got 95 miles now, heading the 353 up to Edinburgh. I will never ever get bored of those views out there, especially aboard a Vulcan, that's for sure. Just Flight and Thrander, oh how we are so blessed to have you in our flight simulation genre. Okay, I have a visual now of Edinburgh. No I don't, that's not Edinburgh, Edinburgh's over there. There's Edinburgh. Yeah, that'll be a bit embarrassing, overflying the wrong airport. Especially when you've got thousands of people waiting for your arrival. Just slow things down a bit here. Then we'll make a nice slow pass for all those photographers, and then we'll circle back round for a beautiful wing over before heading south towards Sunderland on the east coast. So there we go guys, that marks the most northerly point of this tour. In fact, we'll just go outside because I'd imagine Edinburgh Castle, yeah, it's just there, look. Oh yes. So there you are, you've got the Just Flight Vulcan and the Orbex True Air scenery and the Edinburgh Castle. What more do you need? What a sight. Screenshot there, sorry guys, a little stutter. So now it's time to make our way back down the coast over Sunderland, Newcastle and the Yorkshire Dales. Looks like the cloud is starting to dissipate a bit as well. Fantastic stuff. In case you're wondering guys, we've got a special permission today to go this fast since we are a military jet or a military bomber, but I say jet because she feels so agile. Keeping nice and low here at around 4,500 feet. In fact, we're going to go a bit lower than that in a moment as we enjoy some of these beautiful views of the cliffs near sort of Bridlington, Flamborough Head, Whitby, Scarborough. But first we're heading to Newcastle, overflying Sunderland, which used to be a very popular airshow location. Never went there myself, but they did used to have plenty of air shows back in the day. Something that is unfortunately just getting harder to find. You know, the air show circuit in the UK is at pretty much a dire situation right now. We don't really have that many. And in fact this year, due to the coronavirus situation, which has gripped the entire world, we haven't had any shows at all. It's the first year I haven't been to an air show in goodness knows how many years. I usually go to Cosford Air Show and Fairford. I used to go to Waddington Air Show every year since it's on my doorstep, not too far away from where I live. So next year I'll have to make an extra special effort to go to as many as I can. Looking at that massive window with all that stunning scenery. And this is one thing I love about the Orbex scenery that I don't think you're going to get in a new Microsoft Flight Sim. This region, like many of the other regions, are littered with custom points of interest that are authentically modelled 3D models that have been painstakingly handcrafted. The lighthouse there you can see there, and this, whatever this is, this sort of factory or whatever it is, it's all there, and thousands of castles and goodness knows what. You're not really going to get that in the new Microsoft Flight Sim unless you get the sort of 3D scan stuff, which I don't think the UK is. I think only Portsmouth and Southampton is sort of 3D scanned as such. So yeah, there's a lot to be said, guys, for VR and Orbex, X-Plane and all of your fantastic add-ons. See, look at that. That's not a default object. That's something very bespoke for that particular location. Now imagine that's the famous or infamous A6 road, which I hate with a vengeance. It's basically average speed cameras the entire way. And I believe this is the Westeros region of Scotland.